Alrighty. Let's see. This is the Diana Wright Show live online. Welcome everyone from around the world and in the United States. And thank you so much for joining me this morning. And of course, we are going to give you a little bit of hope, a little bit of joy, we hope, a little bit of encouragement, and of course, encouraging you to love yourself. Because you see, if you love yourself, life seems so much better and so much easier to pursue, because we live in a big bad world, but Jesus saves, and Jesus gives us hope and miracles and reasons to continue to live and love and enjoy life and be happy, of course. Allow no one to steal your joy this day as we bring you all the news. And I'm going to give you my little 2 cents in what I wrote down for you today. Humility, forgiveness, contentment, loving yourself. Just for you. The one addiction you need to have is the addiction of loving yourself. What do you believe about yourself? I hope it's all good things. Because let me just remind you that you don't need to be fixed. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not the worst person in the world. You are good. You are loved. You can be joyful and happy. And you really do not need to be fixed. So fixing yourself is easy, because all you need to do is go to that mirror and look in it and say, I love me because I am wonderfully made by God through his son Jesus. So make a decision now to love yourself. It will change your life. Simply do it now. Even if you don't have a mirror, just say to yourself, I love me. Now I know that must have made you feel so much better. So as we begin this morning with a historic moment, of course, I'm sure you're all aware of it. It's historic. We're, for the first time, going to be living with a living Pope who happened to have resigned. And he is none other than Pope Benedict. He asked us today at his final Mass service, whatever you refer to it as, to pray for him, because he needs our prayers. So we give him our prayers today. Whatever he's troubled with, whatever is going on in his mind, his heart, and his head, we offer our prayers as he requested. In his final appearance, he delivers his final farewell in English. He will retire his red shoes. Yes, that's the shoes he's been wearing as Pope. You see, I think it was made by someone in Mexico, a shoemaker in Mexico, and he's been wearing it ever since. He told the massive crowd who cheered him on that despite facing choppy seas at times, he's absolutely not abandoning the Catholic Church. No abandonment for the Catholic Church, courtesy of Pope Benedict XVI. Well, a lot of folks, some folks are not happy. Women are absolutely upset. Nuns are upset too, because they voiced their opinions. And why are they upset, you might ask? They're upset because they believe that the choosing of the next Pope is fraudulent. Why? Because there are no women represented in the conclave, and there are no women priests. So how do you feel about that today? Once again, welcome to the Diana Wright Show live online. Our telephone number, 561-228-1921. That's 561-228-1921. You can use that number for various reasons, whether you'd like to be a sponsor of the show, an advertiser on the show, a partner of the show, or you'd like to have me speak at your gathering or your church or your function. I'd be happy to look and consider your request. So 561-228-1921 for all those requests, and also to join the conversation if you'd like to make a comment. Also, we ask you nicely to like us on Facebook, give us a thumbs up on Facebook, and also tweet us and email us at dianawrighttv.o@gmail.com. You know, you have so many things to think about. Gmail, website, email, Hotmail, whatever. So, dianawrighttv@gmail.com, all right? That's the address. And come April 30th, we want you to circle that date on your calendar, because it is National I Love Me Day, declared here by the Diana Wright Show live online. And we will ask you to do wonderful things for yourself, your family, your children on that day. But we also would want you to do the most for yourself that day, loving yourself. You would have taught your children by then, I'm sure, to love themselves, because I will not stop this crusade until each and every one of you around the world and in the United States begin the process, the journey of loving themselves. Because for some people, it might be a journey. For some people, it might be easy and quick. For some people, it might be, so, take a little time. But we understand wherever you are at that moment in time, we accept you for who you are and will not judge you for not loving yourself, but encourage you to do so. And remember, the greatest love of all is that God truly loves you. All right. Continuing with the Pope, as the Pope mobile at the Vatican drove around this morning, did you notice how much the Pope seemed so much calmer? He must be saying to himself, I am so glad this is over. But we must congratulate the Pope for his humility and his courage. And as he takes on the journey of being a private person, and he is requesting privacy, and we may not see him in public anymore, we must indeed give him the credit he deserves, because I am not sure how many of us would give up that power to someone else before we died. And we know in our hearts that we could have stayed there until we died. But in his humility and his courage, he decided to step aside. Some are saying, well, because of the sex scandal and he didn't deal with it and things were coming out and all of that. But in spite of all that, I still believe that he's a man of great faith, great courage, and great humility. And you could have heard him this morning as he displayed clearly how faithful a person he is. So let's give him what's due to him and see what the next Pope does. Is the next Pope going to be inclusive or decide to have women priests? Will the next round involve women in the conclave? Will we ever see women as cardinals? I'm not so sure, because the Catholic Church seemed to be one of those organizations that is stuck in its mold. There are gay people who believe the Catholics hate them. Do they really hate them? Or is that the public persona? But how do you hate gays when you have so much apparent gayness in the hierarchy of the church, among priests, among cardinals? That's what they're being accused of by several young men. So as we look and we reflect on the journey of Pope Benedict XVI, there's so many things and so many questions and so many answers we need to get. But we still need to give him his due and his strength, and the fact that he is such a humble man, a faithful man, a courageous man, to give up ultimate power because the Pope, you see, has ultimate power as it concerns the Catholic Church. And we applaud him for that, because I don't know how many of us would do that and be content and calmer this day, our last day before tomorrow, which will be the official day of his resignation going into effect. So Pope Benedict, from humble Diana Wright Show here, we congratulate you for your humility and your courage and your faith, and we hope and pray that you will live long in calm and peace and privacy. And I'm sure, I have a feeling that the next Pope will just knock on your door at the Vatican and ask for some advice. So thank you for your service as we move on and continue to talk about Pope Benedict. Because you see, we need to remind you that he will now be known as Pope Emeritus and will retain the honor of His Holiness after his resignation becomes effective on Thursday, that's tomorrow. He will still wear a robe if he's out in public, of course, and he will just not be wearing the cape. So, congratulations, Pope Benedict, for service. He's an Arian, not exactly a Taurian, so I'm not sure how strong he is, but he certainly looks much calmer today as he rode around in his Pope Mobile, as some refer to it as. All right, so continuing here, we are going to move now to New Jersey as Governor Chris Christie, the governor that was snubbed by CPAC, the Republican conservative movement. He decided today, or yesterday it is actually, to legalize online gambling in his state. And he's not the first state. He also expanded Medicaid, part of Obamacare that he was hell-bent against. He strongly opposed it, so he joins another group of governors, including Florida's governor, who changed their minds, had a change of heart, thinking about the people who need Medicaid. And as Christie says, he's not thinking about himself. He's thinking about the people who need that Medicaid. So we applaud you, Governor Christie, for doing so. And even though you're the most popular governor in the United States of America, your party does not like you. Why? Because you chose to be a normal human being, accepting help from the president and giving the president the credit that he deserved in wake of Sandy and the devastation of your state. But you see, the Republican conservatives think you should have been put out to pasture permanently. Now they're trying to explain away why they did not include you. That's why they did not include you, because you chose to speak to the President of the United States and show some respect and give him credit for what he did for your state at a time of crisis. Again, we ask, what is wrong with the Republicans? Why are they not seeing that if you continue to spew and throw hate, it will eventually comes back to you? All you need to do is switch over to love, and that will come back to you also. So why then are the Republicans continuing on the death road that they're on? Because I can see nothing but death on the road that the Republicans led, whatever word you want to use, improper or proper, by Speaker Boehner, who actually cursed and said, "Damn senators." He was hopping mad yesterday. And Mr. Boehner, you need to look inward. Look inside your heart. Look inside yourself for your leadership skills that you seem to have none of. because you just simply cannot control those Tea Partiers in your caucus. Everyone is asking you to dump them and make the right decision for the country. Stop thinking about yourselves and your next election or your next position, whatever it is. Because I'm positive that your constituents are part of the process that will be hurt if the sequester goes through on March 1st. So consider this, Republicans. Do you love America or you don't? Are you going to destroy America because you hate President Barack Obama because he's black and white? Or are you going to do what's good for the country that you so claim you love? And you proclaim such love for America, but you do everything in your power to destroy it, to destroy the economy, to destroy the people who are the majority of this nation. They are indeed poor people, middle-class people, brown people, black people, immigrants. And I bet if I go back and look in the history and the DNA and the genes of Eric Cantor, John Boehner, Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, I know I'm going to find some immigrants' blood way back there. So let us not display our meanness or theatrics in blocking everything the president does, including his nominee for Secretary of Defense, Chuck Hagel, who, by the way, was sworn in this morning as our new Secretary of Defense. And we hope and pray that he will be successful at his job, because it's important, because he's dealing with our national security. The Republicans are supposed to be the party of national security, but right now it seems as if they don't care about national security or any other security as long as they stick it to Barack Obama. He was elected, remember? He didn't steal the job. He won. So forget about Barack Obama winning the election right now. Let's work for the American people to make their lives better. And at least we thank all the Republican governors who have all now had a change of heart to expand Medicaid through Obamacare in their states. So that's basically what it is. And wow. New Jersey is the third state to actually legalize online gambling. The other states include Delaware and Nevada, of course. We all know that. I was not quite aware of Delaware. So now you are aware. It's now New Jersey, Delaware, and Nevada legalized online gambling. Not that you should be gambling, because most of the times people seem to gamble out what they can't afford to gamble. Some of them losing their houses because of gambling and their possessions. So we don't want to go down that road. But anyway, Chris Christie was snubbed by CPAC. But are you really understanding what they're explaining, the reason they did, as I stated before? Revenge, revenge, revenge. How small, how little can you be to snub someone from a conference? And actually, he is their only hope for ever being elected to any national office right now. That might change next week, but as we speak, he is their only hope of being president of the United States if he decides to do so in 2016. Because even though a lot of people think he might be abrasive and combative, he actually makes good decisions, like expanding Medicaid, when he realizes that all his talk and flub in the public eye is not what he's really supposed to be about. He's supposed to be there to provide a better life for the citizens who live in his state of New Jersey. So we can see at least that he is somewhat reasonable. He's not on the crazy edge as the Tea Partiers are, who are constantly obstructing and saying no to everything. So, Republicans, whoa, again you lose. It seems like you're losing all the battles. So as we continue to see how much you're losing, we'll go and we'll look at this. Because it says here, the survey was done by NBC and the Wall Street Journal. And they say that's the most trusted poll. So maybe we should look at it because, I'm not into the poll thing that much. But this one is supposed to be quite authentic. So we'll see here that Chris Christie in the positives, he gets 36%. That is a national thing now. We're not talking about individually his popularity in his own state. On a national basis. President Barack Obama gets 49%. The National Rifle Association, NRA, gets 42%, which kind of shocks me because Wayne LaPierre, the head of the NRA, has been saying the most crazy thing on earth for the past couple of weeks, especially since the disaster in Connecticut, losing all those children at Sandy Hook Elementary. So I'm not quite sure why they're getting so much support, the NRA. Is it that people believe that the government is going to come in and take their guns? That's not possible. It's not going to happen. It seems to me that they are so far removed from the children who lost their lives along with their teachers that they're probably just willing to give us universal background check. And that is just a cop-out, in my opinion. It's a cop-out to know that we can do more, we can do better. Look at the gun violence. Every day you hear about another school, another place in the country that is being affected by gun violence, reckless gun violence. And we remember Trayvon Martin as his anniversary comes up here. A trigger-happy Zimmerman who had no business to be shooting anybody. Well, they claim that Trayvon was the aggressor because Mr. Zimmerman has all those bruises and dents in his head. But we weren't there. I don't know. And I wish not to go down the road of trying to figure it out either. Because you just don't know who's lying and who's not. And Trayvon Martin is not here to defend himself or tell us what happened. So we just keep and continue to guess. And I heard someone comparing the fact that Zimmerman has to go around in disguise and wear bulletproof vests and all that kind of stuff. But praise the Lord, he's alive and Trayvon Martin is dead. So there's absolutely no comparison. Yeah, so what if he's being a little inconvenienced? Some disguise is good sometime. So why is he bothered about that? And a bulletproof vest, yeah, that's a good thing too. Some of us would like to be wearing one in the neighborhoods we live in. But how do you compare a living person who killed another person who is not here to defend themselves? And whether it's racial or not, the point is that we should put the guns down and stop reaching for our revolver every time someone annoys us or we think that Trayvon Martin, according to Mr. Zimmerman, looked as if he was up to no good. I wonder how you look at someone. Yes, you can. To some vibe. Because I have a gift of just picking up people who either are not real, they are fake, they have a devil spirit, or whatever it is. But the young man is walking in a neighborhood that his father lives in. Who is Mr. Zimmerman to decide that he looked like he was up to no good? So boom, life is out. Maybe you should have shot him in his leg or something. That would have been better. Because at least he would be here to defend himself and tell us what happened, really. because we're only truly hearing one side of the story, despite the 911 calls from some of those residents. So as we think about Trayvon Martin today, it's not just about him. It's about each and every one of us, especially parents who have black sons. Be aware and be careful of how they dress when they go out in the street. You should beat them if you need to stop wearing their pants below their underwear and holding up their pants. Because I'm telling you, if the cops come to a scene and they're there and there's some white kids who are nicely dressed, even if the white kids commit that crime, I bet you they will be arrested too because of the way they look. The way you look matters. It is important. And black parents need to stand up to those children that they have in their houses who are ruling them and get them to wear their pants where it's supposed to be with a belt in it. And if there's no belt, it should not be falling down. Nobody should be buying a pants that's 10 times bigger than their little bodies. And our young men should have their hair well groomed when they go out in public. Do not give the cops an opportunity to target you because you are badly dressed or you look like a hoodlum. And yes, some of our black men, black boys, black young men who are out there, they look like hoodlums the way they're dressed and the way they behave. So we need to get out of that cloud and admit this. And the preachers and the politicians, the mayors of these cities need to get those young men behaving properly. When I grew up, you don't look at a young man unless he's neatly dressed and look respectable. So what happened? Why is it such a cool thing now to look like a hoodlum? Because that's exactly how they look, in my opinion. And if I had a son, there is absolutely no way that that boy would go outside looking the way I see some of those young men looking. They're in the mall with the slippers and socks. Their hair high and afro pick stuck in it. They're wearing a marina with their pants halfway down their thigh. And they have to hold it up with their hand in the front to keep it up. What's the point? It looks disgusting. And we as black people need to stand up and say something. And stop talking about it's fashion. It ain't no fashion. That's not a fashion that anyone needs to take on. Because it only gives the cops more reason to want to target our young black men. So stop being hypocrites and admit that we are contributing to being profiled. Profiling, if you don't set yourself up to profiling, at least you're taking yourself one stage out of the profiling. Stop wearing them hats turned backwards too. Can't stand to see it. So they have the hat turned backwards. Some of them look like they didn't even have a shower and brush their teeth for the morning. When I see them on the street, it's just God and his son Jesus that holds me back from saying, young man, don't you really love who you are? Why are you carrying yourself like this? Why are you holding up your pants? But you see, we're all afraid, including myself, because we don't know what response we will get from a young man who is displaying such bad judgment by looking the way they look in public. And you women, let's get to you now. You teenagers are on the street half naked. And those women who are on the street with rollers in their hair, it's not acceptable. It looks horrible. It's not cool. Don't tell me you had to just run out the house and run to the grocery store. That's not an excuse. We have an excuse for every single thing we do on this land, and we need to stop and admit and coin the phrase in our brain. Let it be painted there. No excuses. People arrive late to your function and they say, oh, there's an excuse why they're late. There's absolutely no excuse. If you're going to a meeting and you're not 10 minutes early, you are late. So I'm preaching this morning because I'm telling you that's the spirit that God has put in me today. Lots of stories here to cover. But we have to take time out to look at ourselves as black people in this country and stop complaining about what white people do to us and what they don't do to us. We need to do to ourselves by beginning to love ourselves along with white people. Because I'm convincing white people to love themselves, but I want you black people to love yourselves also. And stop worrying about the color of your skin. It's too dark and this is not going to happen, because if you put the negatives before the positive, the negative is going to come true. So why not think about the positive all the time and forget the negative totally? Erase the negative voices in your head and begin to love who you are. And teach your children to love themselves. And if they love themselves, they would not go on the street looking the way they look. Because to me, before you leave your house, I don't care what the mirror looks like, you need to take a quick peek in it before you get out the door. Because if you don't look good to you, you don't look good to anyone else. All right? So just thought I'd divert and take a right turn into something like that, because it troubles me. It deeply bothers me and troubles me. And mothers, you need to control your daughters and their hormones and have your daughter stop calling the boy's house or calling his cell phone. That's not the ladylike thing to do. Don't be chasing anybody. You should allow a man to chase you and not you chasing them. And don't tell me about it's 2013 and women can ask for a date. Hell no. I would not be having my daughter ask anyone for any date and asking anyone to marry her. He has to come real good. He has to show me, and not only show her, and not to mention her dad, that he's worthy of my daughter that I bore in my stomach for 9 months and then brought forth to earth. So that is the way we should think of our children, as precious commodities, precious jewels. So we don't allow them to go astray. And whatever you need to do as parents, apart from abusing them, you need to let them know that you have more experience and more knowledge than they do. Because all the time, most of the times, 99.99% of the time, when adults give advice to their children, that advice is generally good. And I allow my daughter a lot of slack, a lot of room, if you will. And sometimes I just allow her to not consider what I said. But then when she falters, because she always does, she always comes back and said, "Mommy, you were right." And I said, "Yeah, thank you." Now you'll know when you have your own children. You will experience what I'm experiencing. All right? So let us not be afraid of our children, to put them in place. And that's the reason I applaud parents like Prophetess Peart that I know for raising her 2 children the way she does, with strict hands. Because they will indeed thank you for it later. And I tell you what, all those other children who are out there having fun and acting like they don't need any parents, they will envy you for the parent you have. I guarantee it. So please, let us do the right things as parents. We are supposed to be in charge of our children because, as I said before, until a young person gets to the age of 25, 24, and there's a research to back me up, they still don't really know what's going on. Some of them will be able to make good, smart decisions, but some of them won't. So we have to protect each and every one of them and allow those who can fly early to fly, and those who need extra wings, we need to give it. So, here we go. Continuing with the research done by NBC and the Wall Street Journal, we see that the Democratic Party has an overall approval rating of 41%. And guess where the Republican Party is? 29%. Do you now believe that the Republican Party actually need a makeover, an extreme makeover? I'm going to use 3 extremes because I like the odd numbers. 13 is my lucky number because I refuse to put a doom and gloom on the year 2013. It's going to be a great year for me. Take away all the negative thoughts that you have about 13. It is indeed my lucky number. That's how I have received it and owned it. And I advise you to stop thinking all the negative things that you think is going to happen in 2013 because it's not true. Do not perpetuate the negative of 13. It is indeed the lucky number of Diana Wright on The Diana Wright Show. So take it from me. It's a good number. All right? Okay. So let's see now. Michael Bloomberg, 24%. The Democratic Party, 41%, as I said before. Marco Rubio. I bet he thought he would have gotten higher marks. He only got 24. So he's even below the Republican Party. So when he's there trying to pretend as if he's a nicer, gentler person, don't forget that Senator Marco Rubio moving his family to Washington. His house is for sale in Miami. We need to remember he is the Tea Party candidate that won. Yeah, remember that. Let him not fool you. Remember, he's also the person who lied in his book, telling us that his parents ran from Cuba to escape Castro when they came here just like each and every one of us who wanted a better life and wanted to be an American. So, Marco Rubio, people are watching you. Be careful. They're watching. They're watching you. Welcome once again to the Diana Wright Show live online from around the world and in the United States. Our number to call, 561-228-1921. That's 561-228-1921. And we thank you so much for joining us as we continue to give you some numbers here. They might be boring, but they're very important. So, again, we see President Obama. People are agreeing with him the way he's handling everything so far. He's getting a 45 for that. The Democrats in Congress gets 40. The Republicans, they seem to like 29. Yeah, 29 again. Okay. Wow. I see. This is not good for the Republicans, is it? Is it good for them to continue be the party of no and the party of obstruction and the party of hate and resentment and revenge? Not based on this. They need to get their act together and find their Jesus moment because it's so important right now. Find that Jesus moment, Republicans. We want to love you. We want to embrace you. We want to give you love. But if you continue to give us hate, we cannot give you love in return, can we? And even if we give you love in return, as I'm willing to give you, because I am a person of love, will you accept me for being a brown American? Would you accept me? Or would you just want my vote to help you win an election come 2014 or 2016? What is real about you Republicans? What is real about you conservatives? You're conservatives, but I promise you, if people start digging into your life, they will find out that you're not that conservative after all. You're just obsessed with the vajayjay of a female, the reproductive organs of a female. You're obsessed with abortion and birth control. Why? The hate is where I need Republicans to start eliminating the hate from your hearts. for our re-elected President Barack Obama. His name is so nice to say. President Barack Obama. Please, give him some love. Compromise. Negotiate. When we negotiate in life, no one gets everything they want or they need. Compromise is important in politics and in your life. It is indeed important. No matter which way you slice it, you need to compromise and stop making excuses. We're fed up of that excuse thing. Okay? All right. People were asked about things Republicans in Congress are proposing, like, protecting gun rights and all of that. A total of 31% agree with them on protecting gun rights, cutting spending, managing spending. It goes down, 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 down as we look at the survey. All right? People who disagree with them for not compromising and working with the Democrats and all that kind of thing and opposing, that's 58%. Let me look close. Yes, that's what it is. That's a big number. So are Republicans looking at this research today or this poll? You know how they hate polls. They only like polls when it favors them. Because remember the polls? Remember the polls of the election? The Republicans only like the polls when the polls are in their favor. They hated it as long as it showed Obama leading or said anything good about Obama. And it leads me to remember that the Republicans are hopping mad because Chris Christie actually came out and slaughtered them when they decided not to vote for the money for his state in wake of Sandy, the storm that devastated New Jersey. He also told them off when they thought he should not be holding hands and welcoming the president. Brave man, I think. But I'm not so sure that attitude will work around the world. But the Republicans don't know what they're missing and what they're dumping and what they're, snubbing for their little CPAC. As they embrace, can you imagine they're embracing Alan West, the crazy from Florida? And the loser Mitt Romney, who hates 47% of the population? Paul Ryan? Sarah Palin? I couldn't even think of her name. She's so forgotten. Yeah. Just wonder about that. Anyway, let's continue with a few more of these things. Okay, I think I just did that one. So, do you think the set of automatic spending cuts in the military and non-military programs are a good idea or a bad idea? Or do you not know enough about this issue to have an opinion at this time? That was a question given to the respondents by NBC and the Wall Street Journal. Well, good idea, 21%. Bad idea, Republicans, 52%. Don't know enough to have an opinion, 25%, which is exactly what I thought. Most Americans don't even understand what sequestration actually means. And most of them don't even care anyway because they're tired of living on the edge of their seats because of what's going on in Washington. So I think 25% of the Americans just decide, I don't really care. I don't want to know because you guys are crazy and you put up a show and you come out. The minute you have one little thing to say, you grab the podium and the microphone because you're now going to be featured on CNN and MSNBC and Fox. So, are Republicans considering these numbers today? They're not winning the argument on sequestration. They're blaming the president because they said it was his idea. Whether it's his idea or not, he is willing to say it is a bad idea. Wrong, wrong. So when are you going to give it up And all you Republicans who are so obsessed with Benghazi, what are you guys hoping to find about? Because they're still talking about Benghazi. What are you hoping to find that we don't already know about Benghazi? I heard Chris Matthews saying that he thinks that maybe they're looking for something to say that Obama, instead of taking care of Stevens and the security in Benghazi, he was out playing golf or having dinner with his family and didn't care. How absurd is that thought? It is absurd. Because to think that the president would not care about Chris Stevens, the ambassador, in Benghazi and his safety, I think is absurd and should not be even given credence. Because let us not forget that the Republicans, including Paul Ryan, who voted against increasing or funding security for our diplomats overseas. So let us look at that and do not forget that portion of the argument, because it's crucial. Just like now, the Republicans want to cut everything that involves poor people, middle class people, brown people. And as Mitt Romney called them, gifts that the president gave to us, that's why we voted for him. I'm still waiting for my gift. I never got anything. I just thought it was the right thing to do. But right about now, I'm wondering, and I hope all of you out there around America today is wondering, do I need to ever vote again, even though it's something that was fought for and something that you should do and exercise your civic duty? But when you look at the job that these politicians are doing in Washington, should we not just ask all of them to resign, especially on the Republican side? And all the Tea Partiers should go. Because the smaller government that they're looking for, that's a start. If all of them resign and we get some new people who have different and broad ideas, inclusive ideas, that can realize that we are all Americans and we are all searching and seeking the same joy, happiness, peace, abundant health, abundant wealth, and prosperity that we deserve and that Jesus wants us to have. So why? Why can't we fire all those Republicans and Tea Partiers and any Democrat who is thinking the same way the Republicans think? You have to tighten your belt, austerity. You have to do this. Okay, President Obama wants it to be done in a fair way. And why can't we think like Cheney did at that time? Saying deficits don't matter because he's going to fight some wars. And no one, I don't remember having or hearing anyone complained about the deficit when President George W. Bush was in power. Because we're at war. But have we forgotten those warriors, those young men and women who are fighting for us right now in Afghanistan? Is anyone remembering them? Is Speaker Boehner thinking about them? And was the Senate thinking about those young men who are fighting for us at home when they were giving Hagel such a hard time so that the defense secretary could be watered down to a weak guy? Were they thinking of those soldiers in Afghanistan? We all talk about, fighting wars and whatever. Are we willing to go and fight in war? Is Mr. Boehner willing to go and fight in Iraq or in Afghanistan? Because Iraq is winding down, but it seems like it's really not winding down. So how many of us who are willing to send other people's children into war without really giving it a good thought? Now, everyone is crediting the new Defense Secretary, Chuck Hagel, the fact that he is a Vietnam War hero, and also his brother, he will give it more thought before sending people's children's husbands, brothers and sisters, wives and husbands into war. So please, let's remember the soldiers in Afghanistan today as we welcome our viewers from around the world and in the United States. Take a moment, take a breath to think of those guys who are over there fighting our war. And we are not even thinking or talking about them at all. Because the way Republicans are behaving, I'm wondering if they're even remembering that we are at war. So when we think of the sequester and what it's going to do to the military, maybe not instantaneously, but it will. Think of the passengers that are going through the airports that will be inconvenienced because TSA will then have to lay off a lot of those workers. Let's think. Let's think of all the kids who will not get Head Start. And all the other benefits that go. And stop saying that people are moochers because, they're poor. That's Mitt Romney's words. We don't need to think that anymore. We thought he was gone, but he's coming to CPAC. And he's going to speak. I wonder what he's going to talk about. How I lost the election? And a lot of people are blaming Chris Christie for cozying up to President Barack Obama during the storm Sandy, because they said it was so close to the election and they thought that Mitt Romney was winning. Mitt Romney was never winning. I'm here to tell you that because I was out in the trenches. He was never, ever going to win. Whether Chris Christie praised the president or not, President Barack Obama was still going to win the election. Despite his miserable performance in the first debate. But I am here to tell you that if I am debating someone who I thought was X and they come and they present themselves as Y, I'd probably be so shocked I wouldn't know what to say. And I could have seen that President Obama was totally blindsided and whooped upside his head, wondering, who is this Mitt Romney that is talking right now? That's not the Mitt Romney that everyone knows. But you see, David Corn saved the day, I think. Even though I believe that President Obama would have won no matter what came out, but that 47% tape of Mitt Romney at his high-level bourgeois dinner in Boca Raton, yeah. The way he looked relaxed when he was saying what he was saying, and some good waiter, which I guess still remains anonymous, was brave enough to record him. Because I'm sure the reason why that waiter turned on his camera to record this whole thing was because he probably was hearing so much crap being talked about. So he decided to record it because he couldn't come out and speak it. And thanks to Jimmy Carter's grandson for finding it on YouTube, because it was buried somewhere on YouTube, and taking it and giving it to David Corn at Mother Jones. So we have a lot of things to think about. But most of all, we need to get rid of the hate and the malice and the revenge and the crisis management of every 3 months we're talking about and wondering about going over some edge or some cliff or some mountain. Let's celebrate life and be happy and love each other just the way we are. How about that? All right. So, good idea, bad idea. The Republicans are losing anyway. Okay, this one interested me and intrigued me. I was a little disappointed by the numbers because should the minimum wage be raised? 58% said yes. Should not be raised? 36%. I was disappointed with that high number because I wonder if that 36% of us Americans are actually thinking about that single parent who can barely feed her children, clothe them, and house them, provide a roof over their heads. What is $9 an hour really? how much can it really do? Aren't you still just at the poverty line as the federal government guidelines state? So why would 36% of us actually are against the $9 minimum wage? I'm happy that there's a big number that agree, over 58%? And 2% of you not sure. What are you not sure about? What are you not sure about? It's just like when we have the election, and you're calling people like the night before and they're telling you they're still undecided. What are you undecided about? You look at the issues, you look at the platform, you look at what people are saying, and do you trust them and believe them? Mitt Romney never connected with the audience. Well, he connected with white men who all voted for him. But each and every one of us, he was never connected. And when we heard what he said, and we knew how Paul Ryan actually felt too, because he thinks that a lot of us are moochers too. So they lost because they were not good candidates, and their policies are flawed and filled with hate and resentment and revenge and dislike for lots of minorities, whether you're poor, you're black, you're white, you're brown. They should be fighting for each and every one of us in an equal way. Yes, the rich is always going to be having advantages because, that's just the luxury of being rich. But they're only like 1%, maybe even less than 1%. So whomever is running for office on the Republican side or the Democratic side, they need to simply consider the 99% of us who will cast our vote for or against. All right, so I'm a little disappointed about that part of the survey. But we're almost running out of time, but I will give you another few stories before I go. Thanking you once again for joining the Diana Wright Show live online. We encourage you to go to our website, and if you miss a show, you can catch it on YouTube or you can catch it on our website, Diana Wright TV. Yeah, why am I telling you that? You're watching me, so you know the address. But anyway, DianaWrightTV.webs.com. Give it to your friends, pass the word around, spread the word on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever you need to. Give us your love. Give us some love on that Facebook. Give us a thumbs up, and we thank you for it. And if you have some thoughts that you'd like to share, we welcome your call at 561-228-1921. We also welcome the fact that you will become a sponsor of the show. You advertise on the show, and you will also be a partner with the show. And I would love to come and speak to your group or your church and give my testimony, which is a great one. And when my book comes out, Deadly Negligence, in a few months, you will be sitting on the edge of your seat, not being able to put it down, as you find out how good and how miraculous God truly, truly is. And with him, with Jesus, all things are possible. When you believe, have faith, crazy faith I call it, blind faith, trust him, believe in him, depend on him, because that's what he's there for. And stay prayed up every single day. Make sure you're praying before you get out of that bed. And during the day too, because sometimes you have to pray for some of those people who get in your way and those crazy people on the road. But never forget to pray when you go to sleep. Before you go to sleep, make sure you say that prayer. And if you're awake in the middle of the night, say another prayer. Because there's never too much prayer, you see. Because at one stage I thought that God was tired of me because I had to pray so hard and pray so many times a day. But he answered. And he was there for me. And I know he will be there for you too. And as I close today, I thank you so much for enduring my rant and feeling some of my pain that I have indeed endured through a tragic experience. But I know that I know that I know that I would have been delivered and this day would have come, that I have the opportunity to speak with you from around the world and in the United States. So have a great day and thank you for joining us. Hello, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, hello. May I speak with Dorothy, please?
You have the wrong number. Okay, that's no Dorothy here. We don't have any Dorothys working for us. So, sorry about that. But anyway, just thanking you again for joining me. And remember, if you love something, set it free. If it comes back, it's yours. If it doesn't, it was never yours. And though you might see and feel my tears, it's tears of joy and thanks to God for keeping me and restoring to me and my daughter and my husband and my family all that the locust has eaten and stolen from us. He promised to restore it, and he has, and he continues to do so as our miracle is seen in its entirety. So, I promise you, wherever you are, deep down in that hole of depression today, that if you only have faith, crazy, blinded faith and trust in God, our Creator, and His Son Jesus, you will see a better day. So have a great day. And once again, thanks for joining me. Ciao, adios, au revoir. See you tonight at 8.